I never considered myself a risk-taker. I had always played it safe, steady job, stable income, and minimal financial risks. But life has a strange way of leading you to unexpected places, and for me, that place was a rundown, nearly abandoned hotel on the outskirts of a small town. Everyone thought I had lost my mind. "You're wasting your money," my friends said. "It's a sinking ship," my brother warned. Even my mother, who usually supported all my decisions, gave me a worried look. "Are you sure about this, sweetheart? You've never even run a business before." And honestly, I wasn't sure. But something about the old, decaying building called to me. Maybe it was the history, or maybe I was just tired of living a predictable life. Either way, I ignored the skeptics and signed the paperwork. The day I officially took ownership of the hotel, I stood in front of it, staring up at the peeling paint, cracked windows, and the faded sign that barely read Grand Oak Hotel. It had once been a luxury getaway in the 1950s, but over the years, it had fallen into neglect. To everyone else, it was a bad investment. But to me, it was a second chance. The first few weeks were a nightmare. The lobby smelled like mold, the rooms were filled with dust and broken furniture, and the plumbing was ancient. Some rooms still had shag carpet from the 70s, and I was pretty sure one of them had a raccoon living in it. I hired a small crew to help with the renovations, but progress was slow, and my bank account was draining faster than I expected. Every time I walked through the halls, I questioned if I had made a huge mistake. The townspeople weren't exactly welcoming either. "You should have let it die," the old bartender across the street told me. "That hotel's been cursed ever since the last owner disappeared." I laughed it off, but deep down, it unnerved me. The previous owner, an old man named Richard Holloway, had indeed vanished decades ago under mysterious circumstances. Some said he fled after going bankrupt, others whispered rumors of foul play. I tried to ignore the stories. I wasn't superstitious, and besides, I had more pressing concerns, like figuring out how to turn this crumbling mess into a profitable business. Then, one evening, everything changed. It was late, and I was in one of the old suites on the top floor, removing rotten wallpaper. As I peeled back a particularly stubborn section, my hand hit something solid beneath it. A metal panel. I frowned, pressing against it, and to my shock, it popped open slightly. My heart pounded as I pulled the rest of the wallpaper away, revealing what looked like an old safe embedded in the wall. A hidden safe. My hands trembled as I tried to pry it open, but it wouldn't budge. It was locked, and I had no idea where the key was. For the next few days, I tore the room apart, searching for clues. I checked under floorboards, inside drawers, behind paintings, nothing. Frustrated, I nearly gave up until I remembered something. The old front desk. The original reception desk had been sitting in storage, covered in dust, and I hadn't bothered to check the drawers. Rushing downstairs, I dug through them, tossing out old receipts and guest logs. Then, at the very back of the lowest drawer, my fingers brushed against something cold. A small, rusted key. My breath caught in my throat as I ran back to the room, heart pounding. I slid the key into the lock and twisted. Click. The safe door creaked open. Inside, I found stacks of old documents, a few bundles of cash, likely from the hotel's last days of operation, and a locked leather box. My hands shook as I pried it open. Inside were dozens of old photographs, letters, and something that made my blood run cold. Among the papers was a handwritten letter from Richard Holloway himself, the man who had mysteriously disappeared. In the letter, he detailed how he had discovered something illegal happening within the hotel decades ago, something that involved corrupt town officials and dangerous criminals. He had hidden the evidence in the safe, fearing for his life, and planned to go to the authorities. But he never got the chance. The last lines of the letter made my stomach twist. If you are reading this, it means I never made it out. Tell the world what happened here. The truth must come out. I felt a chill run down my spine. Had he been murdered? Had someone in the town silenced him? As I sorted through the papers, I realized what I was holding wasn't just an old man's last words, it was evidence of a decades-old crime. Names, dates, transactions, all of it was there. And some of those names? They still held power in the town. I had a choice to make. I could hand over the evidence to the authorities and risk making some very powerful enemies, or I could pretend I never found it and continue fixing up the hotel in peace. But I had come too far to back down. With shaking hands, I made copies of everything and sent them anonymously to a journalist in a neighboring city. Within a week, the story exploded. The media swarmed the town, digging into the case, and soon, arrests were made. Corrupt officials were exposed, and long-buried secrets finally came to light. And as for the hotel? It became a sensation. People from all over flocked to stay at the Grand Oak Hotel, drawn by its mysterious past. I played into the intrigue, turning it into a luxury boutique hotel with a hidden history theme. Business boomed. Within a year, the hotel was fully booked, and I was making more money than I ever imagined. The same people who once mocked me for buying a failing hotel were now congratulating me on my success. But for me, it wasn't just about the money. It was about redemption, giving new life to a place that had been buried under secrets for too long. And as I stood in the beautifully restored lobby, watching guests check in, I couldn't help but smile. I had taken a risk. And in the end? It changed everything.